Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, we've got Average Joe playing in the Tier 5 Russian premium battleship, October Revolution. Now, matchmaking, that's about as good as you could expect, I guess, at Tier 5. Top tier, which is nice. It's just Tier 5s and 4s. Now, on the other team is Giulio Cesare, which is... It's a phenomenal Tier 5 battleship. There's a CV on either team, but they're Tier 4 CVs, and that's, well, less of a bother than Tier 6 CVs, I guess would be a good way to put that. There's also a Kamikaze on the other team, divisioned with an Omaha, so I think it's fair to expect the two of those might be working together pretty effectively, at least potentially. Now, I know Joe had a good game here, but I don't really know any of the particulars of the game. I'm sure you're familiar with this map. It's kind of interesting that we have a standard battle here. We don't have any caps to contest. If anybody loses a cap, they lose the game. Now, what can I tell you about the October Revolution? Well, let's give you the basics. If you're not familiar, it has a lot of guns. You can see it's got 4 turrets, 3 barrels in each turret. Joe's asking a bot for some support. I'm only laughing because I've done it myself. If you play at odd hours, or what Wargaming considers odd hours, sometimes there just aren't enough players on the server to fill out the team, so you end up with some bots. Anyhow, so 12 barrels. The base reload is 32 seconds, rotation speed 56.25 seconds to turn 180 degrees. So glacially slow turret traverse. But the guns hit pretty hard. They're 305s, which for Tier 5 is really not too shabby. Because you've got so many of them, you can do significant damage. Firing range base is 16.83 kilometers. And you can see on these low tier maps, you can cover quite a bit of the map. Just look at the red circle around his ship on the mini-map. Max dispersion, 228 meters, and the HE shells do a base or maximum damage of 4,500 with a 33% fire chance. Shell velocity for both HE and AP, kind of slow, 762 meters per second. AP shells do a maximum damage of 8,600. And what else can I tell you? Secondaries, well, it's a Tier 5 battleship. It has secondaries, but you're very rarely going to bring them into action. They've got a base range of 4.3 kilometers. AA, well, it's pretty laughable at this tier. Max speed, 23 knots. So moving to the flank like this very often can put you in a position where the game kind of runs away from you and you can't keep up. I know that's not the case here, but it does happen a lot. In this ship, or say a low-tier U.S. battleship that doesn't have any speed, I generally try to stay center of the map. Rudder shift, 12.6 base, surface detectability, 13.68 kilometers, and air detectability, 7.82 kilometers. As Giulio Cesare shows a flat broadside, and Joe very smartly has loaded AP, and he does a nice chunk of damage. Though trading with the Giulio is often a very painful experience, and maybe the Giulio will continue to sell flat broadside. As one of the red bots kills one of the green bots. I was really hoping Mutsuki would put some torpedoes into that Giulio. We'll see. They're still out there. Okay, so what else can I tell you? Well, I'll give you the pros according to the World of Warships website, as Joe very patiently waits. My guess is he's probably waiting to surprise that Danae that's coming up through the 3 line. But we'll see. So, according to the World of Warships wiki, the pros of this ship include access to a unique damage control party consumable, which reloads very quickly but has a limited number of uses. Armor scheme means that most high explosive shells will not penetrate the majority of the ship's hull, and the angling will convey damage taken from armor-piercing shells. And I expect you're going to see some of that here. Strong short-range AA, blah, blah, blah. The third fastest Tier 5 battleship behind Congo and, of course, Giulio Cesare. Main battery guns, pretty accurate for Tier 5. I'll get into that a little bit more here in a bit. As that shell ricochets. It says all but invulnerable to damage over time effects like fires and flooding due to the unique damage control party consumable, as long as it has charges left. Red Minakaza takes out the friendly Shenyang. Both teams now down 2 ships, a cruiser and a destroyer. We're all locked up, 386 points apiece. Back to the pros, according to the World of Warships wiki, 12-inch main battery AP shells decimate broadside cruisers. As you see against battleships, very often you're going to get some bounces if it's angled, and sometimes even if it's not. And better range than her tech tree counterpart, the Pyotr Veliki. Now, the cons. This is what Warships says are the not so great things about this ship. Low health pool for a Tier 5 battleship. Only Britannia has less. Guns are lackluster against higher tiered opponents, particularly battleships. I mentioned that a minute ago. You might bounce a lot of shells. Really, this thing is just an absolute cruiser killer. But guns, shells have an oddly high firing arc at range, makes leading the targets tricky. Giulio's turning out, so if those are on target, they might do some damage. We'll see. Matsuki's smoking up, trying to get away from the Danae. Those shells landed behind the Giulio. Armor stops working when the ship is full broadside. Citadel's particularly vulnerable. That's kind of a normal thing, honestly, for Russian battleships, pretty much top to bottom. The damage control party is capable of running out if you use it. You can see you get 5 charges there. Secondary armament shouldn't be counted on to accomplish much, and I would say anything really. Higher tier battleships, particularly Colorado and Nagato, can easily citadel the October Revolution when she's broadside. Now, that's all according to the World of Warships wiki. Now, what I will tell you as far as the guns, as Clemson pushes in, I might have switched to HE here, but we'll see. Accuracy of these guns, really not as bad as you may be led to believe based on what we've seen so far. It does have a 1.8 Sigma. If you're not familiar with Sigma, just, you're already on YouTube. Just take a second and type in World of Warships Sigma, and I'm sure you'll see at least a few, nice shot, at least a few videos that'll explain that. I think StatsBloke has a really good one. I posted up for our guys at ICOP on our Discord not too long ago. But it's basically the propensity of the shells to kind of land in the center of where you've targeted, rather than spreading out. It's a difficult thing to verbally describe. If you find the video that I mentioned from StatsBloke, he does a fantastic job of it. And Giulio just showing no respect. It's not that he's not angled at all, but he is still showing some broadside, because that shell just sails right over him. Matsuki's put torpedoes out. You could hear them. And Clemson's making a torpedo run. Joe turns in and avoids what at one time would have been friendly fire damage. It looks like Joe might eat a torpedo here. No, he's going to be able to scoot right by. Not going to be so lucky with this volley, I think, but we'll see. No, he did. Way to wiggle that battleship, Joe. That is impressive. And smashes the Clemson with AP. That's worthy of a round of applause. And Julio is looking for a drive-by, but it's just not going to happen. And now Julio is pretty much flat broadside. And going to be even more flat broadside. Oh, wow. Julio's firing HE shells. Maybe he was thinking he was going to blap the Matsuki. But all he's done here is put himself in position to take massive damage from Joe. Now, that Danae, he's probably got torpedoes. Right? Am I remembering that right? So there's that to consider. I think that ship's about to get sunk. Oh, wow. Now, Joe's angled reasonably well to the Julio, who was kind of getting there. The torpedoes just kind of turned around behind him. And Joe finishes off the Danae. And now begins his turn to finish the Julio. That's kill number 2, if you're keeping track. Now, in terms of the big picture, good guys are down to 6 ships, bad guys down to 5, and I have a feeling this is going to be the last volley he needs for the Julio. Just about point-blank range, and I'm not sure why Joe's turning to starboard. If he just turned to port a little bit, he could get, there we go. Moot point, as Joe finishes him off and does repair. Now, a lot of that damage is fire damage. He's going to be able to get a lot of that back as soon as his heel comes up in 4 seconds. And that's 3 kills for Joe. He had a little help from the Matsuki, but the Matsuki really looked to me like the Matsuki, more than anything, was just forcing that Julio to make some strange turns. Joe opts to keep his guns on the port side. Maybe he's going to turn south and run south along the 3 line. Viribus unitis, or nitis. Your pronunciation may vary. Takes out the Minakaza. Good guys still have 6 ships, bad guys are down to 3. The writing seems pretty clearly on the wall. I think Joe really needs to be turning here. Maybe he's going to run through that gap. But I think running straight south from here is probably the best bet. Yep, Joe's going to opt to continue to use the island, and unfortunately, since all his guns are pointed to port, he's only going to have that front turret as all of his other guns take, well, almost 2 minutes to turn around. Yeah, you can see how slow these turrets traverse. Iron Duke, fairly tough. I think I'd probably try to get guns on that Celebes before anything else, but Iron Duke is going to show some side here. That's pretty decent dispersion, but 3 ricochets. And that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. The shells are, against battleships, really, you do need pretty flat broadside, or you need to aim a little higher. Now, I think Joe could have finished off that Celebes and just pushed straight at this guy, but he's going to take the cautious approach. I don't know that that was necessary in this case, as Joe does aim a little bit higher and gets one penetration there. But now he's got the attention of the Iron Duke, and Iron Duke will probably be firing HE shells. Joe still has plenty of the repair parties. He's got 4 left. And Iron Duke is showing a little bit more side now, almost flat broadside. Joe could get shells on that Celebes if he just inched a little bit farther forward. Nope, Izyaslav takes care of that ship. Joe's pretty well focused on the Iron Duke. And Iron Duke is sitting almost perfectly flat broadside at this point. And Joe's going to make him pay for that. That's what, 13K? Got more guns available. Comes the HE spam. Joe's run himself behind the island here. He's not going to get another shot. And he's not moving very fast, which makes these torpedoes a little more likely to hit, but we'll see. There'll only be a couple of them. And yeah, Joe is going to be able to slide. Well, he eats one. It's not too bad. So much of this game is knowing and being able to kind of in your head predict what your firing angles are going to be based on where you're moving and where the other guy's moving. Lucky for Joe, and I'm very happy it happened this way, Iron Duke turned around. He didn't want to run toward whatever he knew was north of him. He's just trying to help his CV, I think, at this point. And I think Joe's just going to whittle him down and finish him off. Oof, Izyaslav just about got blapped there. This volley might do it. Only the front 3, but those look good. And that's it for Iron Duke. And Very Sweaty Man is sunk by Average Joe. And it's just the CV left now as Joe hits the accelerator. And speeds toward the Komsomolets. Do I have that right? If anybody speaks Russian, feel free to correct me. And, well, that's very gallant. Now, the CV's barely moving. And here we see the 1.8 Sigma. Some of those might actually hit. That's coming to Joe's starboard side now as it reverses. Those look pretty good. Great game, Joe. Really great game. I'm guessing the Kraken is about to happen here. CV turns, avoids those shells pretty handily. Next hit probably will do it. Joe, thanks for sending the replay, brother. I really appreciate it. It was fun to watch. You did a great job. That's a lot of kills. Sometimes these lower tier matches are a lot of fun. Those of you joining me, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. As Joe picks up his Kraken, I'll see you next time.